Good evening and thanks for being with us on this Wednesday. I'm Rob Caldwell.
And I'm Samantha York. Tonight on our show is artificial intelligence coming for your job. Our tech guy, Rich Brooks, is here with some thoughts on what jobs in Maine might be especially vulnerable and which ones might be fairly safe.
And later, the Portland Theater Festival may be under the radar, but it is back for its 6th season. We're going to preview 2 upcoming shows. First this evening, Jesse Lupo and Keith Bodine are Maine distillers from separate businesses. They love making something from nothing and seeing the smile on an approving customer's face.
They say they never really saw each other as competitors, but as David Guilford found, they became business partners under unlikely circumstances. Hey, David.
Hey, Sam. Hey, Rob. They certainly did, and the two men say they believe they met back in 2009, and over nearly 15 years, they knew of each other as the small world of rural distillers go, but a tragedy last September brought them together.
Yeah, there's something about creating spirits that is, anybody that starts it off as a hobby gets the bug, and they're like, all right, well, what else can I make? How can I make it better? Everything that you do is expensive with this. There's nothing cheap about getting into this business. Only the insane, the truly criminally insane would ever get into this business, especially after knowing about it. What'd you say?
Pretty much.
Maybe not criminally,
Yeah.
but you know.
You know, to go to what Jesse said, it's really, for me personally, it's the ability to take raw materials, see them all the way through to a finished product, and then see it go out the door to a happy customer.
Can you take me back to the fire and how you experienced that?
Fire obviously destroyed our facility in Union last September. Very traumatic, obviously. The whole family was devastated because we've put 20 years of effort into that facility, and to see it go up so fast was horrible. At that point, you know, I was like, that's it. I think I'm done with the business. My children, however, we have 3 kids. And they're all adults now, and they came to me and said, well, why don't we try to continue maybe producing Back River Gin? That kind of brings us to where we are with Jesse.
When you heard about the fire, what did you do? What was going through your mind?
I immediately, it's like getting a gut kick, because you think about, what if that was us? What would that be like? If this building was burned flat and everything in it was gone, I couldn't even begin to quantify what we've lost. But also, this is their business that they'd had for nearly 20 years, and they've lost it. How are they going to want to go further? But I offered my support and any help if they felt that they wanted to do anything. If you want to build back, I can supply you with the equipment. If you want us to somehow help with contract distilling, and, you know, fortunately, we were able to figure everything out. But that's the main way, and that's the way Maine businesses stick together.
I can't help but notice part of the reason why you were able to help make Keith's gin as he would want it is because you make a gin.
Yeah, we make a couple gins.
So, in a way, you had been competitors for as long as you'd been in business.
Agree to disagree. The beautiful thing about gin is you could try 10 different gins and have 10 different flavors. So our making his gin, first of all, they've been around for a long time. These guys were pioneers. They were in the beginning days of distillery in Maine, period. So it's really a no-brainer that their sales, there's people waiting to get this back. So to put it by mine, I mean, you know, we make money by helping him in making their product. And we sell our own products.
Mostly see our competition as being the big industry players that are on the shelf in every liquor store, you know.
If I reached out to Keith and I said, hey, I'm starting a distillery in the state of Maine, first of all, he'd say, you're crazy, don't do it. And then he would say, how can I help you? Because unlike almost every other business out there, we don't see each other as competitors. The fact of the matter is, the more craft that there is on a shelf, the more ability you are to try local liquors, the more interest there's going to be in craft. So we're all, the rising tide raises all ships.
Not competitors, but kindred spirits?
Kindred spirits we like.
definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're in great spirits. That's one of my favorites. Yeah.
Back River Gin just returned to store shelves this month. I asked the two about their business arrangement. They said they split the profits from the gin, adding a long-standing brand to Jesse's lineup and keeping that nest egg going for Keith if he ever does actually decide to retire.
That's a really sweet story, and I don't think one would necessarily expect that from the distillery business. I mean, it's so cool, but as they say, that is the main way, because they say that that's the kind of thing that might only happen in their field, but we hear about it in others too.
And it's a small field, and even coming from Union and Aetna, they know what it's like to try to build a business, as some would consider, in the middle of the woods.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Thanks, David.
Thanks,
got it.
David.
Coming up next here on 207, what you can do to reduce the chances of losing your job to AI. Artificial intelligence is turning up everywhere these days. It is writing emails, it is answering service calls, it is even writing computer code. And that has people wondering, is AI coming for my job? Which leads to another question. Which jobs in Maine are safe, which are not particularly, and how do you tell the difference? With us now to answer some of these questions and to sort out some of the hype from the reality is our tech guy, Rich Brooks from Flight New Media in Portland. So let's start with the big fear. Is AI really coming for our jobs?
Rob, there's some healthy debate going on. In fact, just this morning as I was preparing, a big letter came out from a bunch of prominent economists and policymakers and technologists, open letter to world leaders saying it's going to be so disruptive that we need to start putting policies into place. That being said, or maybe because of it, I believe that really what's going to happen is AI is going to transform the workforce. Throughout history, humans have created technologies that have destroyed jobs. But in the wake of those new inventions come new jobs, often safer and higher paying jobs. That's cold comfort if you've just been laid off from your job. But I think for the short term, what's really going to happen is parts of our job are going to be automated by AI and robots. That's going to lead to perhaps slower hires and maybe slower raises as well.
All right, let's dig into the specifics. Which jobs would you say are most at risk?
AI is really good at information and language. So some of those jobs are most at risk. Writers, editors, translators, but then also things like customer service reps and sales reps, even retail workers, some retail workers, cashiers can be at risk too. So in Maine, think about things like the call centers we have here. Also back office work, bookkeepers, all of those people might be at risk, including a lot of entry-level jobs, which is problematic because who gets those entry-level jobs is new college graduates, as if they didn't have enough challenges in today's workforce.
Yeah, all right. So that covers a lot of people and a lot of territory. Let's look at the other end of the spectrum. Which jobs right now look like they might be among the safest?
Right. So AI is not good at jobs that require you to be in person or hands-on or require a lot of judgment or trust. And the good news is that Maine has a lot of those kind of jobs in its workforce. So the number one employer in the state is healthcare. So nurses, CNAs, physical therapists, athletic trainers, those jobs are relatively safe. And then you've got the trades. So electricians, plumbers, we cannot hire those jobs fast enough.
Right.
So they're pretty safe. And then you throw in construction, like the people up at Bath Iron Works, and then hospitality jobs, especially frontline, those are safe too. So there are definitely a lot of jobs that are safe in today's economy, and we should be focusing on those.
So here's something that is on so many people's minds is what can you do to try to AI-proof your career?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if there's a way to absolutely protect it, but there's a line that's floating out there that goes something like, you're not going to lose your job to AI, you're going to lose your job to somebody who's using AI. So if somebody's worried about this, my first piece of advice is get comfortable with these tools. Use them personally, use them professionally, and see how they can enhance your jobs. I think that's one of the first things that we can do to really future-proof our jobs. The other thing is, and I know this from firsthand experience, is that AI can take somebody who's a complete beginner and raise them to a level of competence in no time. But then you take somebody who has real-world experience, who has expertise in the field, and you combine that with AI, and those people become unstoppable and very hard to replace. So my advice would be is really do get to understand these tools and how they can improve your performance, and you will become one of those people.
All right, let me ask you about another piece of advice, because you run a firm, Flight New Media, that uses AI. So what are you telling the members of your team, and what are you telling other businesses around Maine?
Right. So from day one, I told my team, no one here at Flight is going to lose their job because of AI. And I meant it. But in the very next breath, I said, but if we don't all figure this out together, we're all going to be out of a job. So I encourage my team to use AI, but we tend to use it more in the background, not on the customer-facing things. So we use it to sort through data, to double-check our work, to find patterns we might not have seen otherwise, so that we have more time to spend face-to-face with our clients, understanding their business and improving outcomes. And to the other business owners here in the state, I would say, look, most of us run small to medium-sized businesses, and we should lean into what that's all about. We should be investing in our frontline employees. We should be taking care of our customers and neighbors, and we should make sure that we're an integral part of the community. But at the same time, we need to recognize this transformative thing that's going on with artificial intelligence and train up our staff to create better outcomes and to be more competitive. We owe it to our employees and we owe it to our customers. As Uncle Ben said, with great power comes great responsibility.
Excellent advice, excellent analysis as usual. Rich Brooks from Flight New Media. Thank you so much, Rich.
Thank you, Rob.
Stay with us. We'll be back with more of 207 right after this. The Portland Theater Festival is a nonprofit professional theater that puts on shows only in the summer. So now is the time to see what it has to offer. With us here on 207 are three of the people who run it. Dave Register is the artistic director, Barry Robinson, the associate artistic director, Jen London, the managing director of Portland Theater Festival. Thanks all for coming in. Good to see you.
Thank you so much.
So you've got a couple of shows coming up. We'll get to those in a moment. But first, the big picture. What is it that Portland Theater Festival aims to do? What is the niche that you guys want to go into, Dave?
We prioritize contemporary theater, often plays that have been written in the last 10 to 15 years that you might have seen offer on Broadway in New York or in other regional markets. And the idea is to bring stories that you might not otherwise see in Maine to Portland in the summertime.
You're a professional actor yourself. This is the kind of thing that gives you the opportunity to do material, to do plays that you otherwise simply might never get the opportunity to do, right?
Precisely, yeah. Part of the calculation when originally founding the company was, what kind of things might I want to do? But very, very quickly, we learned that the company has the potential to be so much more than just any one or two or three people. So it's been really exciting to see it grow into a sort of community-wide, dare I say, institution, or a small one.
Tiny.
It is a professional theater. Where do you find the people who put these shows together?
We find them from mostly locally, particularly this season. We've almost done the entire cast of actors that we have for all three shows have been local, and that's been a really exciting thing to be able to find these people to do these shows that are, especially in the case of Octet, very difficult, and to be able to mine them. That's been very exciting.
Octet is the show that you have coming up, and let me ask you about that, Jen. If you want to put on timely theatrical productions, it seems though you couldn't do much better than this. If I have it right, it's a group of 8 people who are in a support group for people with screen addictions. Is that sort of the basic premise?
Yes, exactly. Barry, do you want to add a little bit more to that?
Yes, they are in a group therapy session in a church basement, not dissimilar from like an AA meeting. Yeah. And they are all addicted to their screens and devices in very particular ways, in ways that we might understand personally. Yes.
I think everyone who's ever been around a screen understands the addictive power of them. There's a film that's being made of this, and anyone who is interested in either film or theater will go, oh, tell me more about this. So tell me more about this.
So Lin-Manuel Miranda is creating a film of the play. We decided to do the play before we knew that, fun fact. But what's exciting about the play is that it's also a musical. And not only is it a musical, but it is an a cappella musical. So there are no instruments other than a timpani hammer that they bang on a chair, pitch pipes, a tambourine, and some shakers.
You've got that one coming up. It's going to be going from July 23rd to August 9th. That will be followed by the Henrik Ibsen play, An Enemy of the People. What's the basic premise of that play?
Oh, I don't know what the best way to describe enemy in like a short sentence.
The way that, I mean, the best way you could distill it down, I would say, is a local doctor in a small vacation summer community, let's call it, discovers that the water supply of the town is being intentionally poisoned by a large corporation upstream. And his efforts to get the truth out to the community are met with corporate resistance and also resistance from within the community, people whose livelihoods come from and depend on the summer business. And it becomes a sort of a fight for capital T truth and who gets to control the narrative.
This sounds like a story that could have been written last year.
Yes.
It's actually a play that was written nearly 150 years ago, but again, it has not lost its timeliness.
And this particular version is a new version by Amy Herzog that was just on Broadway
a couple of years ago.
A couple seasons ago.
Where are you producing this one?
Enemy of the People is going to be at the Crew Center on USM's campus, and Octet is at the Maine Irish Heritage Center.
And these are both really cool venues for you because the Crew Center, this will be the first theatrical production not related to USM to be staged there.
That is correct.
And Octet takes place in a church basement, and you're going to be in a former church building putting it on.
That is correct.
Exactly.
Yes. How more authentic can you get? Yeah.
How many years have you been doing the festival, Dave?
This is year 6 for us, which I can't hardly believe, but
It's amazing.
It's true. And
Yeah.
we have proudly been doing it together for all 6 years.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, congratulations to all of you on 6 years of the Theater Festival.
Thank you.
We appreciate you coming in to tell us about them. Okay, Octet, July 23rd to August 9th, and Enemy of the People, August 20th to September 6th. We've got information on Portland Theater Festival. Those 2 shows coming up, tickets, everything else. You'll find a link in the 207 section of our app or website. Stay with us. Back with more right after this.
Just a quick programming note, 207 will not be on the air tomorrow. Instead, News at Germain will be airing a U.S. Senate debate featuring the Democratic candidates looking to replace Graham Plattner on the ballot.
This is all leading up to the Democratic Convention on July 25th, which is 2 days before the state deadline for the Democratic Party to name a nominee for the general election. You can watch the News Center Maine Senate debate tomorrow, starting at 7 p.m. And 207 will be back on the air Friday. We'll be taking a look then at Maine Maritime Academy's new training ship, the State of Maine.
Earlier this week, the ship sailed into Castine for the first time. In the spring, the ship docked in Portland while the new pier in Castine was being constructed. While in Portland, Don Kerrigan got a chance to go on board and get a tour. The new ship is big, has the latest technology, and is specially designed for training. The basic mission, though, is the same, to get young adults ready to work at sea.
Well, that's my goal, is to produce a better mariner so that when they step on board, they understand what's going on in the engine room, that they can make sound decisions on what's happening to them at that single moment.
Friday on 207, Don Kerrigan takes us aboard the brand new State of Maine to see what's special and learn about the ship's other important mission. It's always so cool to see these huge vessels out there and what they can do on the water.
I love the idea that most of the crew is young people who are 20, 21, 22. That's pretty neat.
Out to sea. Thanks for being with us tonight.
Have a good evening. We'll see you back here on Friday.